And now, live from Level 5 Productions on the island of Milleronia, it's The Larry Miller Show. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and everyone whose greatest sports idol died way too young. Hi, folks, and welcome back to the Larry Miller Show. I'm Larry Miller, but in a way, aren't we all? Boy, I'll tell you, it's been a beautiful day, and here on Milleronia, yes, I know, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, yes, I control the weather. And, of course, it's going to make it a beautiful day because I insist on it. And everyone who doesn't participate in that, if someone doesn't, it's happened once or twice over the years here on Milleronia that one of my employees, one of the administrators, one of the scientists intentionally does not make it a nice day. And, well, he goes to volcano number 2. And then it's really not a nice day for him. But you know what, folks? It really is. It's been gorgeous here on Milleronia, and I feel happy there because of that. Milleronia makes me happy. Everything makes me happy, and Colonel Jeff is the same way. And of course, the music makes us both happy. That was the Thurman Munson Orchestra and the Peggy Reether Dancers, featuring boy tenor Mike Lucking, asking the musical question: if laughter is the best medicine, then how do people die laughing? Wow, good question. Good question, Mike. That, yeah, how? Well, first of all, it turns out for all the people who die laughing, I guess maybe laughter wasn't the best medicine. That's the only thing. Maybe it's not the best medicine, in other words, for everyone. Now, do all those old sayings work? That's why the Colonel and I started saying to each other, hey, I don't know. Is laughter the best medicine or isn't it? Does an apple a day really keep the doctor away? Does a stitch in time save 9? That one's true, in fact, but neither of us knew what that meant and still don't really know. A stitch in time saves 9. I think that's true, but I don't know what 9 it is or how it saves what or what a stitch in time actually is. Colonel Jeff, in fact, pointed out before we went on the air that maybe laughter isn't the best medicine at all. Maybe laughter is the best laxative, and that in its turn becomes a good medicine. Look, think about that. If you laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, and then suddenly, well, you cut loose like a Russian weightlifter, and, is that the best medicine? It doesn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt me, wouldn't hurt Colonel Jeff, wouldn't hurt our doggies here in the studio, wouldn't hurt anyone on Milleronia. And in fact, I think I just hit on something here to suggest that all the citizens do here on Milleronia, and with laxatives. By the way, as you can imagine, when I say suggest, It's not a helpful hint, really. I insist. But you know what, folks? I think Colonel Jeff might have hit on something there. So good question to Mike Lucking when he wondered that if laughter is the best medicine, then how do people die laughing? Well, you know what, Mike? Because they were ready to go. And by the all-new Larry Miller store. And we're very happy with it. Colonel Jeff did a great job. It's up there because we have a great new item called Bat Larry on our T-shirts. Now, we have great T-shirts. We have the LMDS T-shirt, the Larry Miller Drinking Society T-shirt, that is. And we have my favorite one, Keep Calm and Larry On. And we have, this is a good one, too, that I survived volcano number 2, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. That tickles me. But in any case, you know what? We have a new item, Bat Larry. Look those up. Look those up and see what that T-shirt is like. And I think you'll agree. That's why we call it the all new Larry Miller store. I think you'd look good in a Bat Larry shirt. In fact, I think I'd look good in a Bat Larry shirt. In fact, that's another good idea. Hey, wait a minute. Everyone on Milleronia should have Bat Larry t-shirts. Boy, folks, you know what? We're really making progress on this show. And money, too. What's wrong with money? So to get to the Larry Miller store, what you do is, of course, any computer you have, any iPhone, any screen, anything can get you there. But we say, let us get you there. Go to our website, which is LarryMillerPodcast.com. Who's on the mountain? Tom Mix. Oh, excuse me. I think I died laughing there. But you know what? Do that. Go to LarryMillerPodcast.com, and we have a banner there that says the all-new Larry Miller store. And just hit that banner and then go take a nap. Get in your big lazy boy chair, and you can turn on a game if you want, or just crack a bottle of beer. But you know what? You can just lie back in that chair. Whew. Sometimes, as you ought to know, a nice nap, best thing in the world. So do that then, Just go to our website, hit the banner, and then go get yourself a Bat Larry shirt or any of the others. I know that's what I'd do if I were you. And that brings me to my favorite part of the show, the joke of the week. I love these because I know I've told you before, but it's the truth every time. I love passing on jokes, and I hope you do too, and I hope you love hearing one. And the Colonel and I like this one very much. There's a young fella is riding his big chopper. It's a Harley chopper, and he's going along a country road, and he's really roaring down the road. He comes around a curve, and he sees right in the middle of the little country dirt road, there's a deer there. And the deer is just standing still looking at him, and he whips out of the way to not hit the deer. And, he just roars off the road there and hits a ditch. And, he goes flying himself all over the place. And he breaks this, breaks that, shatters this, crunches this, fractures that. And, luckily for him, there's a young woman in a car who's just 100 yards or so behind him. She sees this happen, and she pulls over and runs over to him. And, you know what? She says, "Oh, my God, are you all right? What happened? Oh, I saw the whole thing. Are you?" And he said, and he's trying to get up and just clear his head. And he says, "I think so. I don't know. I got to, oh, boy." And he's all dizzy, and he's all weak, and he's all injured. And she says, "Listen, you know what? Here, let me help you up. Get in my car. And, my place is close by here, and I'm a nurse, so I can take care of you. I can fix you, and I can bandage everything, and I can put all the right medicines on it, and, get you back together again." He said, "That's awfully nice of you. Thank you, but I can't. My wife would be really mad, and I can't." And she said, "What's wrong with you? You know what? You almost just hit everything. And just no, don't worry about her. Just get up, come with me, and I'll get you to my place, and I'll fix you up." And he said, "I can't. My wife, I can't." And she said, "Stop it. Now come with me. I'm going to heal you. I'm a professional in medicine. Get in the car." And he goes, "Oh, all right." And she picks him up and leads him off. And she's very pretty. She's beautiful, in fact. And he just notices that. Who wouldn't notice that, I suppose? And she puts him in the passenger seat in the front. And he's really hurt. And she gets back on her side. And they go to her place. And she takes him inside. And, folks, she fixes him up. It takes more than an hour, but she goes to everything, every cut, every scratch, every broken thing, every this and that. And she really does. She ties it all together, and in makeshift casts and puts all the right medicines on. And she says, all right. And she goes and gets him a nice cold glass of water, too, and drink this. And he said, listen, I have to get, my wife is just going to be so mad if I, and she says again, stop that. What's wrong with you? I just saved you. And you know what now? Take a few minutes to just lie here for an hour, sit in that chair and tilt it back and don't run away so soon. But my wife, what's with your wife? Where's your wife? And he says, oh, she's still back in the ditch. We got a kick out of that. Boo. Oh, you idiot. I didn't. Oh, anyway, that's a pretty good one. And as always, if you like it, pass it on to people you care about, your family, your friends, all your loved ones. And I think that's a pretty good one to pass along and save. And that brings me to my second favorite part of the show, the Poetry Corner. That string quartet. This is written by Paul Lawrence Dunbar, and he was a great American poet, and he was African American, actually. He was black, and he lived from 1872 to 1906. He was born in Dayton, Ohio, and his parents had escaped from slavery. Boy, this is always so interesting to look into people's lives. And his father actually fought in the Civil War. That's really something. His first published work, Dunbar's first work, was in a newspaper put out by his friends from high school, two of his pals who owned a printing press. And those two fellas were Wilbur and Orville Wright. Isn't that interesting? Another one of those. Well, how do you like that? So here's one by Paul Lawrence Dunbar called Sympathy. I know what the caged bird feels, alas, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when the wind stirs soft through the springing grass, and the river flows like a stream of glass, when the first bird sings and the first bud opes, and the faint perfume from its chalice steals, I know what the caged bird feels. I know why the caged bird beats his wing till its blood is red on the cruel bars, for he must fly back to his perch and cling, when he fain would be on the bough a-swing. And a pain still throbs in the old scars, and they pulse again with a keener sting. I know why he beats his wing. I know why the caged bird sings, ah me, when his wing is bruised and his bosom sore, when he beats his bars and he would be free. It is not a carol of joy or glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. I know why the caged bird sings. Isn't that nice? Isn't that lovely? And that's, of course, Paul Lawrence Dunbar. Thank you, Paul. Great work. And his first work, remember, published by Wilbur and Orville Wright. Life, again, is so interesting. And that brings me to my third favorite part of the show, the Magic Movie Moment. Boom. Folks, this is a great movie. It's just wonderful. On the Waterfront from 1954. A great movie directed by Elia Kazan, starring Marlon Brando, Eva Marie Saint, Rod Steiger, Lee J. Cobb, Carl Malden, Fred Gwynn, Leif Erikson, Martin Balsam, Nehemiah Persoff. So many others. What a cast this is. Music by Leonard Bernstein. It's another, when you read the actors and the people who made it, you want to say, come on, come on. This is great. And today, for you, my magic movie moment is the great scene in the back of the cab with Brando and Steiger. Now, they play brothers, and Rod Steiger, well, he didn't do all the right things for his brother, who was a prize fighter, and they talk about that. No, it wasn't him, Charlie, it was you. And because that's when Steiger says, that skunk we got you for a manager, he moved you too fast. And no, it wasn't him, Charlie, it was you. And we never move out of that back seat, which is wonderful shot choice. It's wonderful shooting. And you just see, well, there are sort of blinds, almost like old window blinds, along the rear window there. And that used to happen in a lot of cars. And we just see them together in the back seat because they're going to Madison Square Garden to see a fight, but they start to open themselves up to each other in this way. If you can find better acting in the history of any kind of performing than Marlon Brando and Rod Steiger in that scene, good Lord, folks, it's so important in the movie, and it's so important in the plot points. And in fact, when Steiger tries to get his brother to go along and do this and to not make waves with the rest of the gang and the mob and Brando says, oh, no, I can't. And Steiger lets him out of the cab. He says, pull over here. And Steiger lets him out and says, and that's it. He lets him out. And then he says as Brando walks off, he says to the driver, okay, you go to the garden right now. And we see, though, that's where the great Nehemiah Persoff is, a wonderful actor, but the camera pulls back and we see he's the driver. And he's such a good actor that you see, oh, this guy doesn't mean well. This is not going to go well. It's not going to happen that way. And he's already been bought off. And he's not going to take Rod Steiger to Madison Square Garden. He's going to take him to a place that's much worse. And, of course, he takes him in, to where the other gang members are, into, a warehouse with a truck where you unload it and you don't see what happens right away. But, folks, that scene, good Lord, the back of a cab that wasn't really a cab. That's good movie making to me. That's good theater. That's good everything in entertainment. It's just wonderful. They're in the back seat of a cab together. Is it a real cab? Do you see anything else? Who cares? No, but it doesn't matter. What you see is Marlon Brando and Rod Steiger in a great scene by a great director. And, oh, boy, and that music again by Leonard Bernstein. Folks, On the Waterfront. If you haven't seen it, see it. You'll be very glad you did. Oh, it's so great. And if you've seen it like me 20, 30, 40 times, see it again. You'll be glad you did. And that's why I mentioned in the beginning, by the way, that, today is the 49th anniversary of Thurman Munson's death. And I mentioned him as the band leader. And in the beginning of the show, I am and have always been a big Yankee fan, a great Yankee fan. And I was a big Thurman Munson fan. In those days and through the mid and later 70s. And that's where so many great things were happening for the Yankees. And they won their first pennant, the American League pennant, in 12 years. And I was there. I was at that game. I was there and in the stands. And my friend Mal and I watched people celebrating after Chris Chambliss hit that fabulous home run that was a walk-off that won the game and the pennant for the Yankees. And but you know something? And Thurman was also the captain. That was his nickname, the captain. Thurman Munson, Captain Thurman Munson of the New York Yankees. And in addition to being a great player and a great leader, good Lord. And he flew himself also home. I think it was into Ohio where he lived with his family, with his wife and kids. And he had learned how to fly, and he flew for many years. And he went home after the game. Sure, he went back to the airport there and showered up at Yankee Stadium, of course, and got driven to his plane and got in. And the plane crashed. And he died. He was killed in the crash. And people were, well, crushed. They were very upset. And they were big fans of his. Much bigger than just the word fan, really. And so was I. But you know, folks, it makes you think. You see that great face of his with that mustache? And I love also that he wasn't a slender shortstop build. You know, nothing wrong with that. But he was a catcher. He had a catcher's build in the traditional way. And he had big legs and big chest and big arms and big hands and big everything. And in fact, when his legs started going on him as a player, well, they put him in right field and on first base more because they all loved him so much. And he still caught, but you know what? They never wanted to let go of the captain. And they're right for that. And that meant a lot to me, and I didn't know what was going to happen. No one did. But you know something, folks? That's what I meant by saying when a good man, and in fact, a great man, when a good athlete, and in fact, a great athlete, dies too young, it ought to make us stop and think a little more about everything in our lives. And this I was reading about today had made me stop and think about Thurman Munson, Captain Thurman, the captain. Today is the 49th anniversary of his death, and I miss him still. There are many great athletes who died too young also in a crash of this or that, or they got sick. Roberto Clemente, in fact, died, I think, in a plane crash too. And he was still playing. They were all young men. And one of the great examples of this is Walter Payton, who was also known as Sweetness. That was his nickname all through Chicago. He played for the Chicago Bears. Well, the Bears. He was a Chicago Bear his whole career, 13 years. And boy, this guy was the greatest leader of that team. And he never, by the way, he didn't ever take any money. He was so honest all along the way. He never did anything that you might think of with professional athletes today doing things that aren't right. He was the best guy. In fact, Mike Ditka, who was a great football player himself, and he's still alive and well, and Mike was the coach at that time of the Chicago Bears, and he used to say many times that Walter Payton was the greatest football player he had ever seen, and also the greatest man he had ever met. And folks were not kidding when they said things about this and about Walter Payton. It's funny, I was just reading one of the things. He, also had a little gleam in his eye and a wild sense of humor more than once. In fact, regularly, when they were playing at home in Chicago, he would often run, just tear back into the clubhouse, into the locker room after the game, and he would do that to run to get there first and slam the door behind him and lock it so that the other players, his teammates, couldn't get in. And then, as it said, and then he'd take a long shower. And, well, how do you like to get a load of that? In any case, Sweetness, the great Walter Payton, died in 1999. He got a liver disease that turned into, well, a liver cancer. And how sweet and generous was this man, by the way? How godly was he? There was a liver available. He put his name on a list. A long list that had all sorts of people on it. Many, many people on it waiting for a liver to save their lives. And because he was Walter Payton, the great Walter Payton, and everyone adored him so much, he was moved up on that list. And he was notified that he was going to get a liver, that they wanted him to have one. And because he was, well, the great man that he was. And you know what he did? He turned it down. Because even though he knew it would cost him his life, he didn't think it was fair to all the other people who were waiting on that list too, and had been waiting a lot longer than he had. And you know what, folks? It did. Just a few months later, when it was already, well, too late to get another liver anyway, he died. And there were, some wonderful movies about that. James Caan played Brian Piccolo, who was in the movie, because Brian Piccolo and Walter Payton, as teammates, were very, very close friends and had gotten to be very close friends. It was a terrific movie. And in fact, when I saw that for the first time, I couldn't even, it was killing me. They made it so well that I just dissolved. I was crying near the end there. In the last 10 minutes, I said, oh, come on. But folks, that's something I know that you know that we all ought to know more than we do. What it's like to care about someone and then, well, every so often look up and say, thank you, and be well, and good luck wherever you are. I know that and you know that. Homer is Homer and Pluto is a planet. And remember, folks, as always, if you walked out of bed today and had a job to go to and a home to come back to and someone there who cares about you, folks, the game's over and you've won. Be well yourselves and look up every so often and say thank you. We'll see you here next time.